Good evening and welcome to Sunset News. Tonight we bring you news, community talk, economic indicators, weather and sports. I am Aina Raiza Koyom. In the news tonight, a hearing of the Public Service Commission about faked qualifications in the public sector took place 2 weeks ago. In the hearing, it became clear that NAMPOL is primarily responsible for checking documents. Today, the Namibian police had to answer questions from the Standing Committee on Human Resources and Community Development at the National Council in Windhoek. The focus again lied on fake qualifications in the public sector. NAMPOL presented its role and responsibilities in checking of the qualifications. They also presented numbers on how many faked qualifications have been detected. 307 cases were reported in 2021 alone. Now, in our next story, according to the Ministry of Environment, a crocodile management plan is currently being drawn up, which will include hunting quotas and population management, which was announced by the ministry spokesperson Romeo Muyunda last week following recent crocodile attacks in the Kavango East and Kavango West region. Moving over to our next story today, the new exhibition facilities of the Namibian Arts Association were opened. It is intended to become a home for all kinds and types of art, from painting to sculpture to photographs and so forth. The NAA will also present a few selected works of art selected from the treasure trove of 1,500 items. Even the gates leading to the 122 Robert Mugabe Avenue were designed by artists, and the studio will be open to the public as from 6 p.m.
Actual works, of course, but there have been reproductions, so tracings of rock paintings and engravings that have been done by researchers, of which the collection holds some copies, and those are quite fascinating because they really give quite a unique impression of these very ancient works. In terms of more conventional visual art, if you like, the oldest oil painting, for example, dates back to 1864, which is sort of a desert scene by one of these early explorers that passed through. Then there is a large body of work of sort of early European painters who focus largely on sort of landscapes, wildlife, sort of more romantic representations of the uninhabited land, right? Which of course we know is was not really uninhabited, but I mean that's part of this sort of this artistic representation of the time. And those include people like Axel Eriksson, Osman, Adolf Jensch, and Fritz Kramp, a lot of very renowned painters.
Moving on to our next story, Anthony Fillion, Chief Executive Officer of Afritin Mining, which operates the historic Oostin mine, has announced that the next 5 years are expected to be a period of rapid growth for the company listed on the IA market of the London Stock Exchange. This morning, the company released its preliminary economic assessment result for the Phase 2 expansion of its pilot operation at Uis. Earlier in the month, its 5-year plan to development of additional nearby resources was also made public. Uis, with its net present value after tax estimate of $2.1 billion and boosting a rate of return on investment of 75%, looks set to get a very big, very fast. An average production of 10 MTPA run of the mine over 14 years, of which the mine has been in existence, is projected by Afritin for its flagship mine at Uis. In our next story, retailer ShopRite has lost a labor dispute it appealed involving the Namibia Food and Allied Workers Union over its pay raise dispute. The Labor Court in February 2021 ruled that the permanent full-time employee would receive a monthly salary increase of 250 Namibian dollars per month, but no permanent full-time employee would receive a salary less than 2,500 per month. Permanent part-time employees would receive a wage increase of $1.28 per hour, but no permanent part-timer would receive an hourly wage less than 12 Namibian dollars 82 cents per VET levy suspension opposed. In our next story, a recommendation to partially suspend the payment of vocational education training levies by business has drawn ire from the Deputy Chairperson of Namibia Training Authority, Raimo Nanda. The Business Rescue Task Force has part of a recommendation presented to President Hage Geingob recently suggested the payment of levies by the company to the authority be suspended as part of the measures to assist ailing businesses which had been identified as candidates for business rescue. Now, in our next segment, which we call Community Talk, we visit Brakwater. Stay with us. Thank you for watching Sunset News, and we are back with Community Talk. The residents of Brakwater waited 2.5 years to have a meeting with the city of Windhoek, which finally took place on Monday evening, but no parties were happy about the outcome. Yolanda Nell has more.
Close to 100 residents of Brakwater and Lisenheim gathered on Monday to attend the public meeting regarding the council's resolution on the extended boundaries tariff factor. Attendees were up in arms, wanting to know why the Brakwater residents were not given their own meeting, seeing as council cannot compare paying the same rate for an erf that is serviced in Lisenheim compared to a small holdings where the residents receive no services in Brakwater. It was made clear from the get-go that only the property tax would be discussed during the meeting and no other issues will be considered. But the residents, mostly from Brakwater, were not having it. According to one resident, they do not accept what council has put in place because their grievances, questions and concerns have not been addressed. According to one, you can't call a public meeting and tell them what council decided when their input was not considered. Another said that 22 letters have been sent to council in the last 2.5 years and still remains unanswered.
While on city side, we understood that the rates and taxes is not linked to a particular service. Council pronounced itself that will continue on one rate factor for the rest of Windhoek. The only rebates that will be applied are rebates as per the Local Authority Act. Those rebates talks about agriculture. There are a certain percentage of agriculture that you can, if you are performing agriculture activities, you get a rebate to a certain level. So that's what was agreed by council, and then we needed to provide that feedback to the community. And once the feedback is provided to the community, then council will submit a different item, because remember this item, when it was serving in November, it was an update and an extension for the interim arrangement. Now we need to submit a new item, which now Council will finally pronounce that effective from a particular date, the rest of Windhoek will have one factor that will be applicable, and any rebates, only those rebates that are defined within the Local Authority Act.
When asked if this was the first public meeting with residents of Brakwater and the city officials, Samuel Matongo of the city of Windhoek had the following to say.
I don't remember of any particular engagement with the community, but there were representatives that were engaged because we could not discuss with the whole community. So that discussion was with members that were selected, which were recommended from different communities throughout Windhoek for those who had a particular concern on the rate factor.
I think it's important to tell the community that the representatives in the working group were committed to confidentiality for 2.5 years.
Okay.
That is very important. We
Okay.
did not inform the community.
Okay.
We were committed to confidentiality.
Confidentiality.
I think that's very important because the city has not spoken to the community. This is the first time.
This is the first time.
Yolanda Nell talks to Torsten Krumnau of Roof of Africa about a competition for home beer brewers with the aim to get more Namibians interested in brewing beer at home.
Ladies and gentlemen, today we are visiting Torsten and he's from Roof of Africa and we are talking beer. Thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome.
Can you quickly tell us, you have a small competition running. Can you quickly run us through that?
Okay, the competition is for the home brewers. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna trying to get the home brewers market a little bit more together. We also recently built up a little shop here in Roof of Africa where we're selling stuff home brewers need, like hops and yeast and malt and also equipment and so on. And they can also order from South Africa. So the idea is get everyone a bit together, support the industry a bit, support the beer industry a little bit. And so therefore we get a competition. So people can hand in their beer. It actually was supposed to finish on the end of April now. But I extended it because there was not enough time to do the beer. So I extended it until 15th of July. So the beer have to be here on 15th of July. But I will post it on Facebook again. And then people can hand in their beer, and then we have a judge. We have jury who go judge the beer, which will be different craft brewers and beer sommeliers who will try to do it out. And then we will announce the winner. And we have nice prizes for that. So we have a big prize. The first prize is actually a small microbrewery, a 6-liter microbrewery, which normally goes, I think, for $16,000. And we have fermentation tanks, we have equipment, brewing equipment and so on, which goes for certain prizes and so on as well.
Can you quickly tell us why is it so important to promote home brewers in Namibia?
Well, it's just a lot of people try to do it at home and they always get, in Namibia it's very difficult to get equipment and to get brewing stuff to do at home. So, and a lot of people started it and they left it. So I found a lot of people, they have a lot of things staying in their garages and haven't been using it for years. And I try to get this industry a little bit going again and people have fun and try different things and get together and help each other. And if we get our market together a little bit, we can help each other actually.
How big do you think is the home brewers market at the moment?
Well, I know about 20 people which I know so far who have equipment at home, but some of them actively brewing and some not actively brewing. So I'm sure there are many more around and that's why we're trying to find them and try to motivate them to get going again and start brewing and, sit together and try different beer types and, get it going again.
In economic news, we look at the tourism industry and Namibian hotel prices when we return from the break.
Have you received a loan from NSFAF? NSFAF loan is the same as any other loan. It must be paid and settled. NSFAF has a set of guidelines on how you can repay your loan and become debt-free. Therefore, it is important that you, a former beneficiary and a responsible Namibian, show your patriotism by helping pay back your loan and thus helping NSFAF become a revolving fund for the benefit of future potential students. By failing to pay back your NSFAF loan, you risk being blacklisted or having a court order against you. So arrange with the fund to pay back your loan today. For more information on how you can repay your loan, visit our website at www.nasfaf.na or visit our Facebook page or Twitter. Do the right thing and hashtag payback the money.
Thank you for watching Sunset News, and here is economic news. Namibia will have to put more effort in terms of marketing to persuade tourists to visit the country, as the local hospitality establishments are more expensive than in neighboring South Africa. According to Simones Storm, hotels in Namibia are 23% more expensive than in the Cape Town or Johannesburg. In addition, higher food, fuel and utility costs will weigh on profit margins and could potentially lead to higher room rates. According to the Namibian Statistics Agency, in March 2022, transport inflation stood at 13.8%, while an inflation rate of 4.7% was recorded for food. And now let's have a look at economic indicators. The Namibian dollar is up against all major currencies and now trades at 15.66. There were very little to no movement on the NSX, with MTC, Capricorn, First Rand and Namibia Breweries holding go ground. Nictus, Oryx, Paratus and Trustco followed the trend. Most commodities are up, with Brent crude oil the only one that is down with 4.2%. After the break, we take a look at tomorrow's weather predictions. Stay with us.
Go far with Paratus. Go further with Paratus Fiber. Paratus, offering high-speed, reliable fiber connectivity, starting from only 599 Namibian dollars per month. Unlimit your lifestyle and visit na.paratus.africa for more information.
Always prepared. Paratus.
Welcome back to Sunset News, and here is tomorrow's weather prediction. It will be very hot in the north, with Oshakati at 37 degrees and at Nana at 39 degrees. Rain is still predicted over the central and eastern parts of Namibia. The central coast varies between 16 and 24 degrees. Mariental at 33 degrees will be the hottest place in the south. Rain is also predicted for Mariental and Keetmanshoop. Now, in the international news slot, Twitter is now owned by a South African. More on that after the break. Happy Tuesday, and thank you very much for joining us. Now let's get on with our international news. Elon Musk clinched a deal to buy Twitter for $44 billion cash on Monday in a transaction that will shift control of the social media platform polluted by millions of users and global leaders to the world's richest person. It is a seminal moment for the 16-year-old company, which emerged emerged as one of the world's most influential public squares and now faces a string of challenges. Musk, who calls himself a free speech absolutist, has criticized Twitter's moderation. He wants Twitter algorithm for prioritizing tweets to be public and objects to give too much power on the service to corporations that advertise. Political activists expect that Musk regime will mean less moderation and reinstatement of banned individuals, including former President Donald Trump. Conservatives cheered the prospect of fewer controls, while some human rights activists voiced fears of the rise in hate speech. Now, in our next story, a New York judge on Monday held former President Donald Trump in contempt of court for not producing documents subpoenaed in the state attorney general's civil probe for his business practices, and ordered Trump to be fined $10,000 per day until he complies. Trump lost a bid to quash a subpoena from the state attorney general Letitia James, and then failed to produce all the documents by the court-ordered deadline, the 3rd of March, which was later extended to the 31st of March at his lawyer's request. Trump intends to appeal the contempt ruling by saying his attorney Alina Haber, "We respectfully disagree with the court's decision," Haber said in a statement. Should Trump fail to pay the fine, he could be jailed, according to Sarah Kristoff, a New York lawyer not involved in the case, though she said such a scenario was unlikely and the judge could opt for other remedies such as increasing the amount of the fine. Now, in sport news tonight, Namibia and Botswana are set to co-host AFCON in 2027. More on that when we return. Welcome back to Sunset News, and we have some exciting sports news to start off. Momentum is building in Namibia and Botswana's quest to co-host the 2027 AFCON tournament. Namibia and Botswana bid to host the Africa Cup of Nations in 2027 is gaining some ground, with the team having met the CAF president Dr. Patrice Motsepe to lobby his support. Motsepe is a guest speaker at the Forbes Under 30 Summit Africa. In our next story, the Zimbabwean women's cricket team took no prisoners in the final of the Capricorn Women's T20 Triangular Series, beating the Namibian Capricorn Eagles by 7 wickets with a whooping 65 balls remaining. Players of the match, Nomvelo Simbada, did the damage with the hat trick in her first over, dismissing Arasta Dirghad, Kaylin Green and Swen Vetman. Simbada later also added the wickets of Yasmin Khan and Sylvia Shihepo to finish with a remarkable 5 over 16. Zimbabwe easily chased down the Namibian total of 70 all out, reaching 76 over 3 in 9.1 overs. In our next story, the Archery Association of Namibia has a group of 7 archers leaving the Tambazimbi, South Africa, to compete at the African Regional Field Archery Competition from the 29th of April to the 2nd of May. The participating teams are Namibia, Zambia, South Africa, and Botswana. This is the first international field archery competition since ARFAC 2019, hosted by Zambia, where Namibia archers performed well. Next up, we get into the highlights, just in case you've missed tonight's broadcast after the break. Thank you for staying with Sunset News throughout the entire broadcast tonight. Now, in case you're just joining us or if you've missed some of our top stories, here are the highlights. A hearing of a public service commission about faked qualifications in the public sector took place 2 weeks ago. In the hearing, it became clear that NAMPOL is primarily responsible for checking documents. According to the Ministry of the Environment, a crocodile management plan is currently being drawn up, which will include hunting quotas and population management. Today, the new exhibition facilities of the Namibian Arts Association were opened. It is intended to become the home of all kinds and type of art, from painting to sculpture to photographs and so forth. And with that, we've come to the end of tonight's broadcast. Make sure you join Sunset News on Facebook, on all of NMH's platforms, on weekdays as well as on our website, OneUp2. Sunset News screens on DSTV channel 285 as well as GoTV channel 94 every weekday from 7:30 to 8 p.m. I am Aina Raizakwea and this has been Sunset News. Please don't end your day without us. Good night.